Anatomy, musculoskeletal system. In this video we will deal with the joints of the skull. However, most of them are sutures that have already been described when we talked about the skull as a whole. For this reason, in this video, we will examine the only mobile joint of the skull, the temporomandibular joint. The temporomandibular joint is formed between the temporal bone and the condyle of the jaw. This is a condylar joint, as the condyle of the mandible acts as a condyle, and the condyle cavity is made up of the mandibular fossa inside the temporal bone. In this picture, we can see the two bone heads as they come into contact with each other. As you can see, the condyle is not oriented in the sagittal plane, rather in the frontal plane. Since the condyle cavity is not a cavity that fits perfectly into the structure of the joint, a flap called the joint disc or glenoid lip is placed between the two bone heads. Its function is to deepen the cavity and promote sliding between the two bone heads. As you can see, this joint mainly allows rotation and translation on the sagittal plane, facilitating the tearing movement in animals. In the human being, the fang movement has a much smaller extent because humans are not carnivores or omnivores, therefore they need a smaller opening of the jaws. Moreover, this kind of articulation also allows a minimal movement on the frontal plane. This chopping movement is inherited by herbivores, since humans, not belonging to the herbivore category, only need small movements on the other plane in order to chop vegetables. The human masticatory system is therefore a hybrid of a pure carnivorous and a pure herbivorous system. This kind of response has been observed in several omnivorous animals. The temporomandibular joint features some means of fixation that we can observe in this image. The first is, clearly, the joint capsule. This latter always has a synovial layer and a fibrous layer. The fibrous layer grafts on the neck of the mandibular condyle. On the temporal bone, its grafting is more complex because, as you can see, it goes round the entire perimeter of the mandibular fossa, joining also on the zygomatic process of the temporal bone, and on the lower face it goes to cover a good portion of the temporal pyramid, almost up to the carotid hole. This is a joint capsule. The outermost face, however, thickens and almost detaches from the normal capsule, becoming a separate structure, the lateral ligament or lateral temporomandibular ligament. This ligament is a thickening of this part of the capsule. Its function is precisely to strengthen the joint between the two bones. At the same time, there are other ligaments in this joint. Other ligaments are internal to the jaw. The sphenomandibular ligament, which originates from the spine of the great wing of the sphenoid bone, and then forks at the level of the mylohyoid groove. The stylomandibular ligament, which arises from the styloid process of the temporal bone and inserts into the posterior side of the jaw corner. Although it is not illustrated here, the pterygomandibular ligament can be counted among the ligaments of this joint. It is an aponeurotic band which originates from the external lamina of the lateral pterygoid process and leads to the internal face of the corner of the jaw. These three ligaments have the function of keeping the jaw fixed within the joint.
This video was created thanks to Anatomy Learning, an interesting free web app. The hyperlink can be found in the description. Instead, the text used for the concepts is Human Anatomy of Eddie Hermes. Thanks for watching.